excited because our next speaker has actually taken our glam plan by storm. She started in August, so she actually started this business after Glam Jam. And she has cashed in on the glam plan. Say that 5 times. And not only has she cashed in on the glam plan, she's cashed in on every single promotion that Touchstone Crystal offered last fall. I want you to listen to the key things that she's done to build her team. A lot of them you could start implementing them, and a lot of them will help you with the people that you're bringing on the next month into the next year. So will you please help me welcome to stage new group leader, Liz Baird.
Good morning. This has been such an awesome trip. I'm so happy to be here with all of you. My name's Liz and I'm from Denver, Colorado. And I just want to thank Kay and the entire Touchstone home office for this incredible experience. I'm truly humbled and honored to be standing here telling you my story and how I came to Touchstone Crystal. It's a very emotional one, so I'll probably cry, so I'm just warning you. Because you see, for the past decade, I was in the construction industry, so very, very male-dominated industry. Oh, that's my daughter and my beautiful husband and one of our dogs who photobombed us. Out of those past 10 years, I was a CEO and president of an environmental consulting firm. It made sense because I actually have a PhD in environmental law and a background in environmental science. I was making waves and I was expanding rapidly across Colorado and the Midwest. I earned numerous awards, everything from Small Business of the Year, Fastest Growing Small Business, Woman of the Year, and a whole bunch more I couldn't list here. And then the unthinkable happened this summer. 2 weeks before I was set to kick off a multi-million-dollar project, my lender pulled out. And there she started already. On July 10th, I was forced to close my doors after much thought and meditation. It was an extremely difficult decision to make because I knew all of my employees. They had been with me for 7 years. They were my family. And it really left me in this place of confusion and not knowing what to do, especially because 1 month earlier, I had just won Small Business of the Year from the Denver Business Journal. So suddenly, I was confused, I was lost, I didn't know what to do, but I would say, and I tell this story at every party I do, God really works in mysterious ways, and sometimes we're forced in directions we would never choose on our own, because something greater stands out there and something better is on the horizon. So, a month later, a dear friend of mine, Timber Joy, called me out of the blue. She wanted to know how I was doing, and I hadn't told anybody. I was still dealing with the shame of what I felt and the emotions of what I felt. Only my parents knew, and my husband's parents. And so I told Timber what was happening. I just burst out crying, because that's what we do as girls sometimes, is we kind of get it out. And I just said, I'm so lost. I don't know what to do. My whole future is gone, it felt like. And Timber dragged me out. She said, come meet with me. And I will say, this is such a beautiful woman. She gave me the greatest gift ever. She opened my eyes to the possibility of doing Touchstone, of being a Glambassador, which I did for the first time, I will say, and forever I laughed when she said Glambassador. It was like, that is awesome. What the heck is that? And she just said, you know, she opened my door to these beautiful jewels that were Touchstone and Swarovski. I told her I didn't know if I could do it. I didn't feel beautiful. I didn't feel sparkly. I felt like a complete letdown to my team. And she said, but she said, you do sparkle. Sometimes you just need a good cleaning. So she just told me, she said, I know in my heart you are the best investment and that you can be anything you want in Touchstone. And she started telling me about the trips and the jewelry, and it was like, yeah, that's great. I don't know if I can earn any of that, but sure. So I took the plunge, and on August 2nd, I joined Touchstone Crystal. I felt I had nothing to lose, and I really needed money by that point. So I knew I needed to launch my business quickly. Finances were so tight at home. We were struggling even just to buy diapers, and it was like, what are we gonna do? So I just started messaging every woman I knew, and it was so funny. Okay, so I was one of those consultants sitting there with Timber telling her, I don't know anybody. Everybody I work with is men. I've been in this male industry, but as soon as she got me outside of my own head and got me thinking about it, the list just grew and grew and grew, and I kept calling her for days afterwards, like, ooh, I found 10 more people. And so I did. I just started reaching out to everybody. I didn't tell them what was happening. I was still coming to terms with them, but I just told them that I really needed to launch this business. I stressed the urgency of it, and I just said, please, will you support me? And I'm not going to lie here, and I'm not going to say it was easy, because first of all, like 2/3 of everybody I contacted didn't even respond. I felt, I was struggling a little bit. People were like, wait a minute, where's the construction? What's happening here? But I just kept at it, and I realized that I needed to just keep moving forward, and I got it into my head that no was okay. No wasn't a bad word, that if they said no, I just would say, okay, can I follow up with you on this day around this time? And I made sure that I did it. I kind of started to treat it like I did my own business. Like I was as successful as I was because I was so persistent. I didn't give up. And so, and then those who didn't answer, it was like, okay, and no answer is not a no. I'm just going to come back. Obviously I'm not going to bother them 12 times a day, but I can come back in a week or 2 weeks or in a month and ask them. And then anyone who was really adamant and said, nope, this isn't for me, I would say, okay, great, how about I get you a free piece of jewelry, or how about I give you a discount? Do a warm introduction for me. Introduce me to somebody you know that you think would love to do jewelry. And so that was really how my business launched. So in the meantime, I managed to book 3 parties in the month of August. It was great, but I wanted and needed more. So next thing I thought was, well, what did I do in my former business? I attended marketing events. I used to hand out business cards everywhere. So that's what I did. I couldn't afford any of the paid events, so I just started getting on Facebook. I started looking online, and I found everything free that I could find that I could attend. I collected business cards from everyone, even men. I didn't care, male, females, give me your cards quickly. And then I collected a ton of cards that I didn't have. And I just started emailing everyone. I created 2 templates. There was the email for people I had met, and then there was the email for people whose cards I got who I hadn't met. I asked for one-on-ones. I told them I wanted to learn about their business. How could I provide referrals to them? Who were they? And it's amazing, no one wants to say no to tell you their story and to tell you who they are. So everybody was responding. I would set them up for coffee events or anything that was, let's meet in a park, somewhere where I could meet people that wasn't too over the top expensive. I listened diligently. I always let them talk first. Let them go first. Let them tell you their story, because everybody, as I've gone through this journey over the past few months, has a story. Incredible. Some happy, some sad, but amazing stories. So I always let them start first so that they could feel like they were going to relate to me. And then I always jumped in and at the end and would tell them about Touchstone and my story particularly. And I think that's like the most important thing I learned. It was my why. This is why I'm here. And I had somebody ask me a question yesterday. It was a really good question. Well, didn't they want you to buy all their products and do parties for them? I think because I was really honest up front with them, they didn't. They actually really wanted to support my business. They wanted to see me succeed. And there were times when people would ask me to buy things, and it was like, I tell you what, I'm a really good hustler. Do a jewelry party first, and I'll put you on the list for next month. And I always finished by asking them, would they host a party? I figured if I didn't ask, I would never know, and that was the whole reason I set the meeting in the first place. Amazingly, 85% of everyone I met with booked, and the 15% that didn't always gave me referrals, and those led into bookings, and it just started to blow up. So next thing I knew, it was September, and I already had 6 parties booked. and I met my first 2 levels of my glam plan. I was following the glam plan very closely, and I'm going to tell you why as I'm telling my story. So I hit the $1,000 and $2,000 in sales during my first full month, and I was literally $400 away by the second week in September for the $3,000 in sales. Suddenly, I was earning tons of free jewelry. This is why I was following it. I didn't have the money to buy the jewelry on my own. I didn't have the money for the business supplies. And so it was really important that I earned these free jewelry. I mean, I love sparkle, it's amazing, but in September, it was more than loving sparkles. I needed a good display. And what I didn't realize was what would happen as a result of that. Customers who came, or hostesses who were there in August and September, who saw me again in October and November with this massive display, they knew I didn't buy it. They knew I didn't have the money for it. So suddenly, they were so inspired by Touchstone, like, wow, your company really is giving you a lot of free stuff. And so that was really important to me, and that was a really important message. But then the next most incredible thing happened in September. My first consultants signed to my team and immediately, instantly earned Glambassador. They were so inspired with my story, and most importantly, my faith in Touchstone and this program that Touchstone had designed, and what Touchstone was giving back to me and my family, that they just needed to be a part of it. And I told them it was really important. I've been a business owner for 7 years. I understood about investments. Most people won't make an investment on you. Most people are afraid to. And here was Touchstone, a company that knew nothing about me, that was giving me a fresh start despite my clouded background. So by the end of September, in my first full month, I had already qualified for group leader and had earned over $4,500 in jewelry and free incentives. In October, I booked 13 parties. I signed up 3 more ladies and was rocking and rolling, and by November, I had actually done 15 parties. I had my best month of sales at the time. I qualified for both Punta Cana for me and my fiance. I call him my husband. We've been together forever. My fiance. And then I qualified for this trip to Orlando. I joined 2 more ladies to my team, and then December was even more amazing. I joined 2 more ladies in December, and I had 18 parties that I ran throughout the month. I can't still to this day, I'm so impressed, because in January now I have 20 parties booked. Yeah. And on our first night here, I signed my first consultant in January while I was on the phone having a drink with my ladies. As I mentioned, I am just so overwhelmed and humbled. I can't believe how far I have come in a little less than 4 months, because it took me the full 7 years to do anything with my former company, to really build it. This is just 4 months. Can you imagine in a year from now? It's definitely been this amazing lesson in forgiveness, in learning to think outside the box, in meeting new people. Most importantly, in believing in yourself and recognizing that there's never too many parties. There's never a wrong time to bring up your passion for what you believe in. And that there is never, never a woman out there or a person out there who doesn't want to hear your story. So now here I am. I'm standing here before you, and I'm telling you the most personal story to me, and hoping that it shows you how the power of belief, perseverance, multiplicity, and simply never giving up. As new consultants join my team, I always start by telling them, find your why, know your story. I think my success has been a combination of my why, that it has reached people and it has touched people, and because I've used the tools that Touchstone has given to me to help me get outside my own head and my own thoughts. I take my new consultants and I literally make the contact lists with them. I have them think way outside the box. I mean, I am like the bulldozer. I push them into the uncomfortable area, because I say go beyond your friends and family. Go to coworkers, students, other businesses that you do business with. I was in the middle of a chiropractic adjustment when I convinced my chiropractor to do a jewelry party for me. I said, look, I'm paying you for this visit. Why don't you come do a party for me? And she was like, okay, I've never been asked that before. So, you know, anyone you interact with, no matter where you are, can become a potential partner or a potential hostess or a potential customer. And I always remind them that no doesn't necessarily mean no forever. It's not even a bad word. And that sometimes some doors are closed so that others can open, no matter how much you can't imagine it at that time. No gives you something to look forward to. And I always remind them, because of course my new consultants see this and they get a little bit intimidated, and I say, look, everybody I contacted didn't even respond, and if they did respond, they told me no, but I kept up and kept up, and those same people who said no in August did parties for me in December. And the one thing that they all had in common was your persistence inspired us. So that's what I told them, is don't just immediately give up, keep going back. And so, you know, the power of persistence and follow through is really important. And even if someone is an absolute no, even if they're adamant they will never do it, they can still be that great referral, but not just to other consultants or other hostesses, but also to other networking events and other ways you can grow your business beyond just thinking about people. Because that's what helped as well. I would tell people, I can't afford to pay for networking. Where do you recommend I go where I can meet other ladies who would love to learn and grow as I have? So I stand here before you to tell you, take advantage of all the tools that Touchstone has given you and all the ways you can support your business. But most importantly, take advantage of the GLAM plan. It is one of the most valuable tools and amazing incentives we have to help new consultants. I needed the jewelry because I wanted the most kick-butt rockin' display. I almost said it, I pulled myself back. And so I had to work hard to earn that free jewelry, but sometimes girls just want the bling. And sometimes they just want those packages that arrive in the mail that we all know makes us feel so good as our husbands sit there going, how much did you spend this month? It was great to be able to say, nothing, it was free, woo. I also want to let you know that take advantage of really developing your why with your girls as well. Really help them, because that's important. I think when you really bring it home, it helps. You just heard my story. If it wasn't for the GLAM plan, if it wasn't for my why, I couldn't have been as successful. When I had no money to purchase jewelry to build my display or to even feel my self-worth, Touchstone gave that back to me. Through the GLAM plan, I earned thousands and thousands of dollars of jewelry immediately. And as hostesses and customers, as I mentioned, saw my display grow, they knew it was because I wasn't buying it. They saw that Touchstone was supporting me, and that inspired them to want to be a part of this amazing company in some way. It has taken a lot of hard work to stand here before you and share my story. But I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart that despite the trials that I have been faced with from my former business, Touchstone and the amazing women of my team, both upline and downline, have given me a reason to believe in myself again. From the incredible incentives, the GLAM plan, and all the jewelry it has showered on me since August. And I was allowed to say my number, over $15,000 in free jewelry trips and incentives, and this does not even include the $4,000 order I just placed last night for my next free jewelry from the new catalog. To the money I've been able to make, and this for me and my husband is the most important part, because since basically the middle of August, I've made over $12,000 in Touchstone, and that was as of the middle of December, so I closed about 8 more parties after that. So I'm not sure where the number is, but the point is that was our food, that was our livelihood. And for all the beautiful women who have welcomed me into their homes and into their lives and inspired me with their stories, I can say that I sparkle today and that I'm creating a legacy with a bright future ahead.